What's up, guys? It's me back from the dead, and I know I've been gone for a while, and I apologize for the lack of content, but I've just been dealing with a lot of life changes, but I should be back to releasing stuff more regularly now. In the Switch scene, there has been an incredible improvement in Switch quality. There are so many good options out there now that it's hard for some Switches to stand out above the rest. I mean, I've seen a lot of Switches inching towards being the smoothest or appealing to the most people. However, that adds to the fact that Switches are subjective. With that said, one of the Switches that I've seen the most praised in recent days are the Epsilon Switches. A friend was trying to get some and ended up deciding why not. I've heard so many good things about them. They only drop every once in a while, and I might as well save on shipping. None of this detracts from the actual value of the Switch though, and you'll see why. So these Switches are by Prevail Keyco. They will be $45.50 for 70 Switches. That's roughly 65 cents a Switch. So these Switches are manufactured by JWK. They have a full nylon housing, 68 gram progressive long spring, JWK P3 linear stem, light factory lubed, and they're 5-pin switches. I'll leave the listing below in case you're interested in checking it out. Now the JWK P3 stem is a relatively long pole. Additionally, because they are a 5-pin switch, you should keep that in mind in case your board only supports 3-pin switches. It'll work, but you will just have to cut off 2 of the legs. Now the sound. These switches have a deep and very rich sound profile. They have a decent pop to them and are very good stock or lubed. The stock sound still has a slight amount of stock loose rattle to it, but not much. This is mostly due to the light lubing from the factory. You see it mostly in the stem, and it's a thinner lube from the looks of it. It does produce a sharper sound stock, so if that is your preference, I would not lube them. The lube sound is, again, very rich and thick. In terms of the feel, the typing experience, like the sound, is good both stock and lubed. This would depend mostly on your preference. The feel is also very sharp when used stock, with just a bit of the rattle feel being barely there, like with most stock switches. But is actually not very distracting at all. When the Switch is lubed, it is a lot more creamy in the feel. The actuation is also a little heavier, which is expected as lube takes up room in the housing. This isn't a bad thing as it helps with the smoothness a lot, and these are some of the smoothest Switches I've ever used. I feel like they don't even need to be filmed. They are a little heavy for my taste from experience. The weight of the Switch and my comfort using it changes a lot depending on the keyboard I have them in, but I've never meant it more sincerely when I say my main gripe with this Switch is just personal preference. My favorite trait about the feel of the Switch is the bounciness of the key press. This is largely due to the progressive spring and has a familiar feeling to the Zakus with the smoothness of tangerines or lavenders. Again, most Switches nowadays are very smooth once looped properly. With that said, here's a sound test. So, who is the Switch for? Again, this Switch has a 68 gram spring, so it is fairly heavy, and this Switch is for people that like that. Again, this Switch has a 68 gram spring, so it is fairly heavy, and this Switch is for people that like that weightiness and response in their key press. I feel very secure in each of the actuations. Personally, the bounciness makes the typing experience very fun and interesting, but at times can be fatiguing. If you have the strength in your fingers to use them, they are good for most situations and even gaming because of the response and the return. However, if you are more acclimated to lighter switches, this may not be for you, at least if you're planning to type for extended periods of time. You could always just swap the springs, but a lot of people watching these videos are newcomers and likely just want a switch they can pop in the keyboard and start typing with. This is a really good switch. It may not be for entry-level enthusiasts depending on what they're looking for. However, if you're willing to put in the work to get exactly how you like it, it can be really amazing. And they are really amazing stock already. They're a bunch of fun to type on and are really smooth. They also sound fantastic and can be used perfectly fine stock. All in all, I have some pretty high regards for this switch and would definitely put it up there with the switches I daily drive the most. Anyway, thank you for watching. I know it's been a while since I made my last video, but I appreciate you guys for holding out. I've been exploring streaming a bit more, so if you want to catch that, you can find the link in my link tree below. I just hang out and chat with you guys and we can talk about upcoming stuff in the community. I also just play games sometimes, so I appreciate you all for sticking around and I hope you guys have an amazing day. Stay squared.